Carl Jung says that everything unconscious is projected into reality. How do you know if you're perceiving reality accurately or are just projecting? Great, yeah, well, that's partly why I'm a pragmatist. Well, there's a bunch of ways. That you know. Pain tells you. If you make a mistake and you hurt yourself, well, then your stupid theory was wrong, right? That's what the pain says. Your stupid theory was wrong. And that's a pragmatic. You see, that's another indication of pragmatic theory of truth. You lay out, look, when you look at the world, you look at the world with a set of presuppositions. I outlined that in chapter 10 in 12 Rules for Life, called Be Precise in Your Speech. It indicates that when you look at the world, you look at it through a value structure. You can't help that because you're always aiming at something in the world, and you're always aiming at something you want, and you're trying to get it. And so that means that you look at the world through a value structure. Now the question is whether or not that value structure is valid. And that's a very complicated question. Okay, so how do you know if it's valid? Number one, you lay it out and you act it out. You implement it perceptually and then you act it out. And if you get what you wanted, what the theory predicted, that's another way of thinking about it, but wanted is a better way of thinking about it, then the fact that that behavioral routine and perceptual structure produced the intended result validates it as a tool for obtaining that result, and that's a form of truth. Now, it might be the only form of truth, although I'm not convinced of that completely, but it might be. It's a very complicated question. Now, how do you know if your stupid theory is wrong? Okay, A, it fails and you're hurt. Pain tells you, pragmatically, your theory was wrong. So that's why you should pay attention to your own pain, because your suffering is indication that you still have things to learn. And maybe the suffering of other people is also that. Maybe something unexpected or unpredictable happens when you're laying out your plan. And then the anomalous manifests itself, the unexpected or chaos, and then you get anxious. Well, anxiety is an indication that your plan, your arrow didn't fly to its mark, so you aimed wrong. And that might mean a small error, maybe a tiny adjustment of your bow, or it might mean you just don't know what the hell you're doing at all and everything is lost. And so anxiety tells you if your theory is wrong. And then other people tell you that, and that's why you want to surround yourself with other people, because you distribute your cognitive resource. You distribute your problems to the cognitive resources of the social group. That's what we do when we price things, right? Everyone votes on the price of something because it's so difficult, because the price of something has to be established in relationship to the price of everything else, and that's always in flux, and so it's computationally impossible problem, and so we outsource it to the market, which is the free cognitive decision of millions of people, and that's how we determine price. And so one of the things you do to make sure that you're not any stupider than you have to be, blind, ignorant, biased, and all of that, is you surround yourself with other people and you try to treat them well enough so that they can tolerate you. And then every time that you do something stupid because one of your theories is vague or incomplete or wrong or biased, or you're willfully blind, then they slap you on the side of the head. They ignore you because you're boring. They don't laugh at your jokes because they're stupid. They are irritated at your actions because you're not taking your own long-term interests or the interests of other people into account. And so you have pain, you have anxiety, you have the reward of success, that's a positive indicator that your theory is okay, and then you have the reactions of everyone else. And if you're clued in, you pay attention to all of those things, and you try to update your order, which is your perceptions. You try to update your order constantly as a consequence of being humble in the face of your errors, which is why humility is the precondition for learning and why it's one of the highest moral virtues. So, and perceiving reality accurately. You don't really perceive reality, and you don't really perceive accurately. You perceive small portions of reality, extraordinarily limited in space and time, and accurately means well enough so that when you do what you're doing, it works. That's why I'm a pragmatist. Not only. There's lots of other philosophical streams that have influenced my thought, existentialism, phenomenology, to mention two others. But the thing is, you can't perceive reality accurately because you don't know everything. And you're full of biases, and you're ignorant as hell. And so the best you can do is perceive small bits of reality well enough so that you can more or less get what you need in a relatively short period of time without screwing yourself up too badly in the medium to long term. That's pretty much what you've got. And that doesn't mean truth is impossible. It just means that it's very, very complicated to decide what truth is. And because the question is, what is truth for someone whose knowledge is limited? Right? Because obviously, because your knowledge is limited and you don't know everything, so in some fundamental way, you're ignorant or wrong about everything. But that doesn't help because you still have to act in the world. So there are bounded truths. There are bounded truths. And so